Hello and welcome to another episode of the Highlight Reel. My name is Nick Lynch.
And I'm Ben Heltzer.
And today we will be covering Week 8 of the NFL season, including an early candidate for Play of the Year, a very telling Thursday night game, a shocking divisional upset, and our Week 9 power rankings, and of course, our picks for Game of the Week. So to start off the week, the Washington Commanders throw that insane Hail Mary by Jaden Daniels to win the game. You know, it was tipped a few times, hops into the hands of Noah Brown, and the Commanders win the game. What an ending.
Absolutely amazing play. Obviously, that's our candidate for Play of the Year so far, but I turned off the game. Like, I just turned off the game. I thought it was over, and it sucks because I wanted the Commanders to win that one. I felt like they deserved to win that one, like, in the moment. So I just turned off the game, and then I find out that they ended up winning, and I saw that Noah Brown was just standing there in the back of the end zone, and if you're Chicago, you need to have someone in the back to stop the tip drill. And
that's a terrible play for Chicago because Tyreek Stevenson, the defensive back, was taunting the Commanders fans on that play after the ball was snapped.
While the play was going.
Exactly.
Going
on. And
then he was the one that ended up tipping it to Noah Brown.
Yeah, I don't know how Matt Eberflus responded to that in practice the next week, but I'm sure it wasn't good.
Yeah, great win for Washington.
So the Thursday night game now, the Minnesota Vikings, they lose 2 in a row after the loss to the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams got some weapons back, though. They get Cooper Kupp back, they get Puka Nacua back, and the Rams are able to go on to win 30-20. But the question is, can the Rams contend now that they're actually healthy? They just snuck into a playoff spot last year. Do you think they could do it again?
I absolutely can, and because they got their weapons back, as you said, but also their division isn't as good as it's not good right now. Like the Niners, Cardinals, and Seahawks are all tied at 4-4. They're just, I think, a half a game back at 3-4. So they can absolutely make noise, especially because Stafford looked amazing. Obviously, Kupp and Nacua are back, which is going to help them tremendously. Their defense has been doing okay so far, and it's just a small step, but I think that it's going to lead to great things in LA. Yeah,
we've heard a lot of trade rumors around Los Angeles about Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp potentially, but I think they're not going to make any moves. If anything, I think they're going to upgrade at the deadline to try and make that playoff push. But then for the Vikings, do you think they could still contend? I mean, obviously they can because they're 5-2, but are they the team we thought they were at the beginning of the season?
I'm not sure, and it's going to be extra tough because opposite the Rams, their division is so good. I mean, the Lions are arguably the best team in the league right now. The Packers are a top 5 team, and the Bears, even though they just suffered a hard loss, they've been playing good football throughout the first 8 weeks of the season. So, and Minnesota is there. I'll give them credit. They're right up there with their division rivals, but they have to keep it going, and I don't know if they can, but I think that a wild card spot is in play for them.
Yeah,
at the very least.
So now we go from the NFC North to the AFC North. Jameis Winston and the Cleveland Browns. Winston's first start since September of 2022 when he was with the Saints. And he goes at home against the Baltimore Ravens and defeats them in a big divisional game.
Yeah, he absolutely balled out. He played amazing. This was a great win for Cleveland. And I think Baltimore, they're still a great team, obviously. They're still going to contend. I'm not worried about them. And on the other side, I think Cleveland, while it was a great win for them, I'm not sure that they're going to get into the playoffs this year. But it was great to see them, win in front of the home crowd, basically, and against a division rival like that, coming into their home stadium and just kind of silencing them. The Ravens were on a great winning streak up to that point. and it was a statement win from the Browns. So
Yeah.
it was good for them. Good for Jameis.
Yeah. So now we're going to move on to the top 5 power rankings of the week. The Baltimore Ravens are going to fall to number 5 with that loss against Cleveland. The Ravens, they did not play good on Sunday against the Browns. I think that was not Lamar Jackson's best week.
No, I think it was a fluky game though. I think they'll be back.
Yeah, I agree. The Green Bay Packers are number 4. The Packers with that win over Jacksonville. But the concern is Jordan Love is injured again, and will he be available this weekend? They have a big game against the Lions too on Sunday, so that's going to be crucial for the Packers, that game. The Houston Texans, they move to number 3. Houston with that win over Indianapolis. They lose Stephon Diggs though. That's the big issue, and Nico Collins is still injured, but I think they're going to find a way to maybe move up in the power rankings. The Detroit Lions are number 2. I think the only reason we didn't put them at number 1 is because the Kansas City Chiefs
are still undefeated.
Yeah.
And until they lose, they're going to be number 1. Between them and the Lions have obviously looked better. Nobody's going to deny that. They put up, I think, 52 points, didn't even have 100 passing yards, which is insanely hard to do. But until the Chiefs lose, we can't justify putting them any lower than number 1 because they haven't proven anything as to why they shouldn't be number 1. As far as the Texans and the Packers go at 3 and 4, we had the Texans above them last week, so there's no reason to change that. They both won, even though Houston hasn't been looking great, and they just lost Diggs for the season. But that's where it's at right now. But I expect a lot of changes next week.
So now we're going to move on to Game of the Week. So my pick for Game of the Week was that Green Bay and Jacksonville game where the Packers won on a game-winning field goal. That big win for Green Bay. Jacksonville making progress. I mean, they're 2-6 now, I believe, but they're gonna have to try and get it together.
Yeah, absolutely great game. My pick real quick was the Cardinals-Dolphins game, but that's gonna be it.
Yeah. Well, that's it for us on the NFL. But up next is Smitty and Jake to talk about college football.
Hello and welcome back to college football on the Highlight Reel. Let's get right into these few games we're talking about today. First game we'll be discussing is Ohio State versus Nebraska. Big one, almost a big scare for Ohio State as well in this one.
Yeah, well, they came off a start, like a really good start, 14-3. Jeremiah Smith with a 60-yard touchdown. Just a good start for Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like their normal Ohio State start. I thought they would blow out Nebraska. Like last week, Indiana beat the brakes off them, but we came to see that's not how it went. Nebraska kept the game close the whole time. They kept getting stops, cashing in for field goals, and then they finally reached the end zone in the fourth quarter, taking a 17-14 lead.
Yeah, they're just a good third, fourth quarter for them.
Able to keep
Nebraska. They came back, just a good game for Nebraska, but sort of an off day for Ohio State. They weren't able to move the ball very much in the second half, so just not a great day for Ohio State, especially playing a team that's not even ranked.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't think they should have won this game. Luckily, they did come away with the win. Will Howard connected with Quinton Judkins for the touchdown, winning them the game. But a little bit of an ugly victory in this one. There's going to be ones like that in the season, so they'll take any wins they could get. It's always hard to come by in the Big Ten, but definitely almost a big scare.
Yeah.
But let's just talk about, before we move on to the next game, some of the Big Ten contenders. We have number 1 in the country, obviously, Oregon. Indiana making their way up. They're number 13 now. And then we have number 3 Penn State and obviously number 4 Ohio State, who are going at it this week.
Indiana really has a good shot at making the playoffs.
I think so, if they keep playing the way they have. But, I think all 4 of these teams can make the playoff. And I know we've been talking a lot about, like, the SEC and how they're, like, sort of the superior conference, but Big Ten does look great.
Yeah. Now moving on to our second game we'll be covering is number 5 Texas playing number 25, our previous number 25 Vanderbilt. Jake, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, just, great job for Vanderbilt, really able to sort of turn the program around. New coaching this year. They have won big games, beat Bama, obviously, and then keeping it close against Texas. But for Texas, looking a little shaky recently.
Yeah, I agree. Texas, like, with Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning not looking as great, especially last week, not looking great against Georgia. They just came back into this game playing a team that they're way better than, just not a good game.
Yeah, Vandy hot, but yeah, Texas just looking a little shaky as of recent. And then looking at the rest of their schedule, they do have a really good chance to win out. 4 games left. Florida, Arkansas, Kentucky should be wins. Obviously, you never know what happens in the SEC, but those should be wins.
Yeah.
And then we have the red hot Texas A&M Aggies. So that could be the tough one. The Aggies are really looking good right now. And speaking about them, that's going to be our last game we talk about. Texas A&M, they took on LSU. Yeah, just what a big win at home for them. Smitty, what do you got?
Well, it was 17-7 at the LSU at the end of the first half. Tigers looked really great. They looked like their normal selves, playing top 10 ball. But Marcel Reed came into the game as QB and just helped Texas A&M absolutely take this game away with 3 touchdowns. Just a beautiful game for Marshall Reed.
Yeah, came in the game and automatically, instantly made an impact. 3 rushing touchdowns. The energy was great. That's one of the most loudest atmospheres in college football. But as well as this, the Aggies' ability, keep rolling on offense. To add on to that, they looked great on defense the whole time, forcing 2 picks. Brian Mays, 2 interceptions.
3 picks, actually.
Oh, wow.
They had 3 picks on defense, 2 by Brian Mays.
Yeah, so great defense, and then Marcel Reed coming in the game to make an impact. If they could keep this going with the way they played defense in the second half, as well as just the way they look on offense, then I think they have a great chance to make the playoff.
I agree with you. So a great win for the Aggies. They move themselves into the 10th spot. Other than that, that's going to do it for today on college football. Stay tuned up next for Andrew talking about soccer.
Hello, I am Andrew Mirzaaghasi, and I will be talking about soccer once again. Starting in the Premier League, we have Man City versus Southampton. It was a Man City victory. However, I still felt like it was disappointing because it was 1-0, the only goal coming from Haaland in the 5th minute. Meanwhile, the whole game was just Man City tries to score, but they miss. I'm sorry to say here, but I think Man City right now is kind of desperate at this point, especially when it comes from competition from Liverpool or Arsenal. It is pretty tough trying to keep the top spot or 2nd spot or 3rd spot, especially top 3 when it comes to Premier League. But I have to say that Man City was just not in this game at all, and they have to really be prepared for the next coming games if they want to keep up with the ranking. If you want to see a more entertaining game, you can look at Arsenal versus Liverpool, because even though it ended in a draw 2-2, it showed that Arsenal put up a good fight for Liverpool, as this finally shook the standings as the number 1 Liverpool was finally knocked out of 1st place. But more on the standings later. Still, I am proud of Arsenal and what they have done. However, it would have been an Arsenal victory. However, Salah was very lucky and gave Liverpool another goal in the very, not literally last minute, but it was better than a loss than to Arsenal. It was a tie instead. For Man United fans, Eric Hag has finally been fired. Yes, that's right. He got fired. He got sacked after their loss with Western Ham 2-1. His contract has not been extended to 2026. Man United just flat out fired him because of his disappointing services as the manager. And only out of the 8 games, mind you, that they have played, they have only won one game out of the 8, and that's incredibly disappointing. The position is now up for who would be the next manager, but it sounds like whoever takes that position would either take Man United deeper down the grave or they rise from the ashes, but I highly doubt that.
Dick, I'm tired. Dick, enough isn't. Dick, stop the pain. Dick, I give up. Dick, I am done with Dick. We did it. We bloody Dick, enough damage.
But still, we would have to see from there. Now we are on our standings. In 1st place, we have Man City with 23 points, Liverpool with 22 points, Arsenal with 18 points, Aston Villa with 18 points, and Chelsea with 17 points. Man City is officially back on top, which I like that, but still, it's pretty early, since really anything could happen in any circumstances at all. Now, usually this is where I end it. However, there is more information to come by. This year, the 2024 Ballon d'Or Awards were finally here. Now, who won the Ballon d'Or this time? It was none other than Rodri, from Man City as he beat out Vinny Jr., Carnival, and others to get it, in which I'm kind of shocked because he is the first player in Man City in history to get the Ballon d'Or. Other awards such as Yamal getting the Copa Trophy and Martinez getting the Jaclin Trophy as well. So all around great start here. And of course, Harry Kane and Mbappe finally getting a trophy in the Ballon d'Or, the Molyneux Trophy as well. Now, you think I'm going to end the segment here? Of course not, because there is one more game I have to talk about here, and that is El Clasico. As it is technically the biggest thing, the El Clasico is when you have famous teams such as Real Madrid and Barcelona going all out. And let's just say this El Clasico is shown to be perfect, as it was 4-0 Barcelona victory. And I felt like this was the game that really showed two things. One, it showed that Barcelona, with their new talent, can do anything, and it shows that Real Madrid kind of needs to improve here, especially when it comes to Yamal, Rafinha, and Lewandowski. As it showed here, these were 3 scores, and they showed that Barcelona is still going strong. Now with Real Madrid, Mbappe really just wanted to score, and the VAR really just cursed him like a lot. The entire game, he was offside, they denied goals, everything like that. But this was especially true for Vinny Jr., as I felt like this was the game that kind of knocked him out of him winning the Ballon d'Or this year. But this is kind of my theory because he really didn't score any. And just like Mbappe, he was mostly offside. So I felt like because of this performance, he was knocked out of the Ballon d'Or race and Rodri got it instead. But again, only my theory. Thanks for watching, but don't go anywhere as Rocco and Matt are talking about the NBA.
Oh, and welcome back to the NBA segment on the highlight reel. Let's get started, Rocco. What were your thoughts on the Nuggets and Nets game on Tuesday?
The Nuggets and the Nets. Listen, you see both teams, they just went at it. They knew how to just put on a show. And a lot of people, look, for the Nets to compete against a team like the Nuggets and literally just show out, an overtime thriller to say the least. The Nets weren't expected to be anything good this year, and I expected them to be very, 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 very bad. And with that out of the way, you look at what they just competed with the Nuggets, how they competed, rather. And the Nuggets are a good team. We know this. Joker, Porter Jr., the whole team. They got it all. We know that. What the Nuggets are accomplishing now, they're trying to really just reestablish that championship vibe that they had when they won 2 years ago. And this was a great way to show it against a very stingy Nets team.
Moving on. Yesterday we had the Knicks and the Heat. What were your thoughts on this one?
Need I say anything more? Karl Anthony Towns back at it again. Another great game. 44 points, 12 rebounds, and just 2 assists. Look, awesome. Karl Anthony Towns, this trade is working out beautifully for the New York Knicks. And you look here. Now they're starting to really mesh. It's 4 games into the season, so it really doesn't matter, actually. But you look at what this team has. Brunson, Bridges, Cat, Hart, Anunoby. The bench is good. When Mitchell Robinson comes back in January, thanks Joel Embiid, we're going to have center position locked up. It's going to be fabulous. It's going to be great. Everybody in New York is going to love it, and I cannot wait. Karl Anthony Towns, welcome. I love it.
Let's look ahead to the game we have tonight, the Spurs and the Thunder. What are your recommendations on this one? Or thoughts on?
The Spurs and the Thunder, look, they're 2 very competitive teams. The Thunder, we know, in my opinion, I think the Thunder are the best team in basketball. But what we do know about the Spurs is they have an alien at center. In my opinion, the greatest rookie season ever. Victor Wembanyama. He is great. The Thunder, they are great. What makes both of these teams so fun to watch? It's these guys that are on the court. I mean, Victor Wembanyama has already become the face of the Spurs franchise in the modern day era just after 1 season. You could argue he should have won Defensive Player of the Year last year as a rookie. That is a very high bar for the future. And the Thunder, look, they've got it all. They traded Josh Giddey in the offseason. They got rid of the distraction. Granted, he was proven innocent, and he's doing pretty good in Chicago right now to start off the season, but I digress. We have Chet Holmgren and of course, you can't forget Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, just such a good player. You notice how instrumental they are to this team. They make the Thunder great, and that's what this game shows. Just I can't say anything more. And just a fun start to the NBA season, and I can't wait to see what else unfolds.
Well, that's all for NBA today, but don't go anywhere because next up is Myles and Luke on the MLB.
Welcome to the highlight reel. Today we'll be talking about the World Series. We're going to go quickly through the first 4 games, and then Luke, I know you have a lot to say about Game 5. So in Game 1, the Yankees lose 3-6. Freddie Freeman hit that walk-off grand slam. That was fantastic to watch. Tough decision by Aaron Boone to bring in Nestor Cortez, who hasn't pitched in a month at that point. Luke, what are your thoughts on that?
I just doesn't make sense. Like guy hasn't pitched since like September. It's now the end of October. You have one of the best lefty on lefty pitchers in baseball just sitting there, been great against lefties all year, and you're like, no, I'm gonna go with the guy who hasn't pitched at all. He's a starter, by the way. Bring him into a tough situation, extra innings, with men on base, a starter, instead of going to your reliever who's been in that situation all year. I just don't understand it. And then he actually got the first out. He got Ohtani to pop out. But then they decide to walk Betts and load the bases just so Freddie Freeman can hit a grand slam.
Yeah,
That's just Aaron Boone. That's why he needs to be fired. He keeps doing stupid things like that.
Yeah, Tim Hill was right there, and Tim Hill has been phenomenal since like August. I don't understand the reasoning behind that, but that's just Aaron Boone for you. So back to Game 2, the Yankees lose 2-4. Yoshinobu Yamamoto had a fantastic start. He went 6 innings. In Game 3, it was more of the same. The Yankees also lose 2-4. This time they got shut down by Walker Buehler. But then in Game 4, the Yankees finally flipped the script. They won 11-4, and Anthony Volpe hit a grand slam.
Yeah, so Game 2 and 3, understand the losses. You just got beat. They looked like a better team. At least there was nothing like, oh, we should have easily won that game like the other ones. Like, this is the World Series. They're tough games. You're going to lose some. Those 2 games, yes, you lost, okay? Get over it. Fight back, which is what they did in Game 4. With Volpe's grand slam, they had full momentum. The series at that point should have been tied if they had just won Game 1. Should have been 2-2 going into Game 5. Instead, they're down 3-1 now after being down 3-0 and a near impossible comeback going into Game 5.
Well, Judge still can't hit. I know he hit one in Game 5, which we'll get to, but he's going to walk into a home run. He's still Aaron Judge. He's still 6'8", 280 pounds. He's going to hit one over the short porch at some point, but I know we'll get to, Game 5, but the blame is on him at the moment.
So I'm pretty sure in Game 5, Judge was 2 for 2, 2 for 3 with a walk and some stuff. Judge was great in Game 5. Judge hitting was great in Game 5. Fielding-wise, not so much.
He really just
So
lost
Game 5, Yankees lose 7-6. Series over, World Series over, season over. And, it was a game they easily should have won. The Dodgers didn't play well. The Yankees beat themselves. It was errors after you go 5-0. Judge hits a 2-run home run. Jazz hits a home run. And they get in another run. Then Stanton hits a home run. You're up 5-0 with your ace on the mound. He was throwing a shutout, by the way, into the 5th inning when everything that could go wrong goes wrong. They lead it off with a single. Okay, it's a single. No hitter's over, but whatever. Just get over the single. Next guy flies the ball to Judge. He drops it. You just can't drop a fly ball that's right at you. The stadium is just, at that point, from full momentum, stadium is so loud, dropping a fly ball is it just ruins everything, their entire attitude. Then, next pitch, ground ball to shortstop. He throws it to third. It's a bad throw. Still scoopable by Chisholm. Either one of them, a good throw or a scoop. You have another out. They don't get anything. Now the bases are loaded with no outs, and I think Gavin Lux coming up. He strikes out Lux, 1 out, go to the top of the order for Ohtani. At this point, bases loaded, 1 out, Ohtani up. You're so scared. One of the best hitters in baseball coming up, and it's just... Then he manages to strike out Ohtani to get the 2 outs. And at that point, Mookie Betts is a ground ball to the first baseman. Garrett Cole decides not to cover first base. And instead, Rizzo doesn't charge it. Rizzo sits back. Cole doesn't cover first base. And now... you don't get an out there. After that, it's still 5-1, but Freeman gets a double, Hernandez gets a double, and the game is tied.
Yeah, they turned into the bad news Bears in that inning. I don't understand what went wrong or how that could have happened. Garrett Cole, I honestly thought was going to go 7 shutout and maybe strike out more than 10. He just had that look in his eyes. And then when he struck out the first 2 after getting bases loaded, I just thought it was over. I thought we were headed for Game 6 and the momentum was going to go all over to the Yankees. But then they turned into me playing Little League and forgot to cover the bag. And then they couldn't scoop a ground ball at third. It was just a colossal group of errors from the Yankees. But it was really just kind of funny to watch, to be quite honest with you.
And again, back to Aaron Boone. Team has to have more discipline. Like, it's a ground ball to first baseman. You know since you're 5, on a ground ball to first baseman, if you're the pitcher, you have to go cover first base. It's
Gotta
just
do it.
baseball. You just have to cover first base. Like, these little things are what add up to losing a World Series. Like, there's a series you easily could have won. The Dodgers pitching is terrible.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, you just have to beat them.
the Yankees lost that game more than the Dodgers won it. So it's going to be a long offseason for you, Luke. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
But-
we'll see what happens. You have to try to bring Soto back.
Yeah.
Have to bring back Soto. That's the big thing. Anything else could happen. If you lose Soto, I don't know what you do after that.
Yeah, so that's all we have this week on the highlight reel. As far as baseball coverage goes, we'll see you next opening day. But in the meantime, we'll be discussing other sports. See you next week.